Hello guys, I'm going to cover the accountability sheets. So this is accountability sheet week number 1. Um, you don't have to make it as pretty as this, but as an engineering tech you should make it kind of readable and presentable. You might want to use this to show future employers, so if you make a pretty decent accountability sheet, it will show your attention to detail. These accountability sheets have 3 purposes. So the first one is basically just to monitor how many hours you have on CAD. A future employer might want to know how many hours you've spent using the CAD and what programs and what workbenches specifically you know. So you're going to have an accountability sheet that addresses all that. Secondly, I'm monitoring your accountability sheets to find out how long it's taking you to do specific exercises. So if you guys are doing your exercises in a reasonable amount of time, that tells me things are going okay. But if it looks like you're spending too much time on one exercise, I'll look and see if the rest of the class is spending too much time, and I can adjust accordingly, maybe give more leeway on the due date, or find out why there was confusion on the exercise and why it took you so long so we can get clarification. Or if it's just you taking a long time, maybe I can focus in on you and help you get through that assignment. Um, so I kind of use it as a tool to monitor how long the assignments are taking. We should be in class for 2.5 hours on the timesheet each day, or 3 hours, whatever you want to put down. And then any homework hours you have, you would add that as well. So in total, lab hours, classroom hours, and your own homework hours, you should expect to have 1 hour, or 1 hour lecture would equal 2 hours of homework. So in theory, we're doing 5 hours of class time, so you would do 15 hours of homework, or homework and hours in class, so 15 hours total time spent in this class. If you're doing 3 classes, you would expect to do 10 to 15 hours in each class, which would give you 40 to 50 hours per week. And that's why 3 classes are considered a full load. So let's say today's the 5th and it was our first day and you started at 5 o'clock. So I put 5 p.m. here and then 8 p.m. here. And I got fancy and got a time in and time out for the same row. You don't have to do that. You could just create a second line. But let's say after class you decided you want to do some homework. You got all excited. So from 10 to 11:30, you kept working on this assignment number 1 until you got it done. And that was all working, let's say, in the Sketcher workbench. So the next day you have a few assignments to do for homework. You get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, you work till 10:30. You notice that I've got an hour and a half on the right for hours of homework. Okay. And then I had 4.5 hours because I was able to add up to 5 and the 8 for 3 hours, 10 and 11:30 for another hour and a half. So over here in the hours, I got an hour, 4.5 hours. So I know class is normally 5 to 7:40, but if you get into class 10, 15 minutes early and you're kind of working a little extra after class, it kind of rounds up and averages to 3 hours. So you don't have to write down specifically, I got into class at 4:41 and left class at 7:52. Just kind of round them off to even numbers for yourself. So let's say on the same day, on 1/6 at 1 p.m. or at 1/6 the next day at 9 a.m. to 10:30, I did an assignment number 2. Took me an hour and a half. I took a break. Starting to get a little faster, so later on that day I did another exercise from 1 to 2:15. I did assignment number 3, and that took me 1.25 hours, so I note that. And these are all the Sketcher workbench, so I can just kind of drag this down if I want to. These are all working on the Sketcher workbench, for example, whatever workbench you're using. So CATIA primarily is doing sketch, part design, surfacing, wireframe, assembly modeling. In AutoCAD class, the workbenches you'd use are model for doing your actual physical part. You do layout to make your drawings with the dimensions. So whatever workbench you're using, go ahead and fill that out. Okay, so you notice I have a 0 here, and when I go on day 2 of class on the 7th, I come back to class at 5. I just type in a 5 space P and hit tab. And I type in 8 again. This is every day I do a class. I'm just going to say I was there 5 to 8. It'll vary. So I just, on average for class time, I went 5 to 8. I have this set up so it'll total up my hours, and there's the formula there if you want to pause the video and do the formula. I'll talk about that though at the end of this. I just create a formula so it will add the hours. All I got to do is input all my times. You got to set these fields to be time, and then once it knows that it's time, it will recognize how to add those up. So on 1/7, I do 5 to 7, 8 o'clock. That's the last day of class for the week. That means that I'm not doing this. But here's what I'm going to do. I like to use Excel because I have this all formatted just the way I like it. I can click on week 2, right click, and hit move copy. Now the trick here is I typed in week and I put 1 in parentheses. If I do a right click, move copy, and hit create a copy in that tab and hit move to end and select OK, week 2 will just automatically pop up because it's in parentheses. You'll just keep adding the weeks. You see week 1 and week 2 are a copy of it. Now when I start week 2, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to come down here and copy that, click over here and paste this. Okay, and then let's say I did homework again, but this was on assignment 5 now this time. So I've got assignment 5 and I decided to do some more homework from 9 space P, hit tab, to 9:30 space P and hit tab. And again, it just automatically adds my hours, 3.5 hours. Okay, whoops, I should delete that. If you don't know this, one thing I did is on the first one here, well, I'm sorry. On this first one here, how I get these dates to come in next, if you just grab that little, there's a little dot at the end of the cell on the bottom right. If you can grab that dot and drag it, it will automatically just put in dates for you, the next dates. And another thing I did is for end date, and you don't really even have to do this, it's just what I did. On the 7th, that's when my start day is for my reminder when to turn that in. I know it's going to be the 13th because I did in my functions up here on the top, I did C equals C16. That's this number right, this date right here, C16. I did that plus 6 days. So over here in the end date field, in the input field up on the top, it says C16 plus 6 more days would take me to the end of the week. Okay, so let's say it's Friday. I've already accounted for these hours, so I'm going to delete those hours out of that. And then on the next Friday, I got so excited to do more CAD. I got up at 7 in the morning, 7 space A, and then I hit tab, and I couldn't stop till 11. And I put in 11 and hit A and hit tab. That's all fine and dandy if that's how long it took you to do assignment 6. Okay, but if you did more assignments, what I would prefer you do is let me know how long each one of the assignments took. So let's say you did assignments 7, 8, and 9 all in the same day because you just couldn't stop. All right, so what you're going to have to do is take this one here and you do a copy and you simply paste it on all the days that you did. Let's say I did two more assignments. I paste that and then I can grab that arrow, that little dot again, drag it down and add more days. Okay, so I know I'm going to the 13th. So let's say I actually took an hour to do each one. So I do 7, 8 space A and hit enter. Come over here. One thing I can do is I can hit equals and click on that and hit enter, and it will know the last time I started. And then maybe this one took me till 8:45. I go 8:45 space AM. Okay. So assignment 7, I'm getting faster. I got it done at 8:45, and I'll go to assignment 8. Assignment 8, and again I can hit that equals and click on this one and hit enter. And this says value over here on the right for total hours, because it doesn't have a field here yet when I ended. So let's say I ended this at 10 space A and hit enter. Okay, so let's just say I worked from 7 to 10. It's recording my hours over here automatically. I'm letting you know what assignments I did, how long they took me. Okay, so Saturday comes along, you've got all your homework done, but you can't take it, you just want to do more. So assignment 9, you go ahead and tell me that, hey, I got up early again in the morning, but it was a Saturday, so not as early. And then it took till 10 o'clock space A to finish this one. Okay, so that's a way you can do it. Another way you could do it, especially with the simple modules that go really fast, if I have, let's say, a module, and you're doing the Intro to CATIA Experience module, you can just copy, paste that. And how I do it is I just, actually, I don't know if you can do that, but I just copy, paste that. And I don't know if that works on your screen. You highlight this and right click and copy, paste. And then you can put it in here. Or you could just type in intro module, something like that, and just say, hey, I spent from 9, well, let's make it different. Let's say I went from 1 p.m. because I just decided to work Sunday. I couldn't get enough. I went from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. doing that one module. Okay, so on the assignments, they're a little more labor intensive. I want to know how long it took you to do that assignment. But if you're doing a whole module and the module is actually a pretty quick module and you're ripping through them, you could just indicate how long it took to do that particular module. Again, I'm just trying to track the hours so that I know if you're spending too much time doing homework, or if you want to get a job, you want to have recorded hours, okay, of what you've done. Now, don't leave the workbenches blank. Always tell me what workbench you're working on. So, like, when you're not actually working on a particular workbench, you could say infrastructure as a workbench. Okay, like zooming in and out on the model, practicing how to save the models, practicing how to manipulate the models, practicing doing the measurement commands. Technically, I'm not making a part, I'm not creating a sketch or anything. You could account that for infrastructure. You could also just account that as, hey, this is all, I'm all in part design. I'm just doing, everything I'm doing is to learn part design. We're just trying to accumulate how many training hours you have. So I used to work for a company that charged $1,200. No, it's $13 some hundred for a 3-day class, and then followed a 2-day class for another $1,200. So most of my classes that I was teaching at Boeing would go 5 days, and they would do the 3-day class and the 2-day classes right in a row. So they're paying $2,500 a person to be there going through the training program, and I normally would have them for 6 weeks. So if you can go to a company and let them know, hey, I have all these hours of training, so you won't have to spend money on me training to learn the system. I've got all those hours down. They'll want to probably see, well, how do you figure you got all these hours? What have you been doing? Your accountability sheets and your portfolio will show them your capabilities and how many hours you've spent learning the system. All right, so that's basically how you make your accountability sheets. We get down to, let's see, this is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday class starts again. That's another 5 space P, hit tab, 8 space P, hit tab. Okay, and I have that in there. And then let's see, man, I got so far through homework I didn't even have anything to do. So on the 13th, I just came back to class. Control C, Control V on that. Again, it's just automatically adding my hours on the side. And at the bottom, I have the hours getting totaled. Uh-oh, I'm supposed to be at 15 hours. So I better make up some homework tonight. All right, so again, you have your assignment due on the 13th. I know that because I set the end date up to be the 13th. It counted it up for me. I'm all good to go. I'm going to submit this. So I'm going to save this. Oh boy, says I got something going on with my formulas. So I'm going to go a file, save as, and oh no, I'm not going to do that. I saved it already. I'm going to go to print, and I like to preview the print. Now I have this already set up so that it will print on one page. And the reason why I go to print is if we want to make a PDF of it, it's going to PDF just like you make your print. So somewhere over here, I've got page setup. I use fit to one page. And then I leave it in portrait. You could do in, or I leave it in landscape. You could do it in portrait, whatever makes it fit, but usually landscape gets it to fit easier and more clearly. So you have to have this fit and then on one page, okay? So if you have that set to fit, you can select OK. And when you make your PDF, it will only be one page. So if you don't check that, you might have multiple pages on your print. So you got to do a fit, and then you can do a file, save as, change Excel to a PDF, and then save it as a PDF. And in your folder, you'll have a copy of your Excel and your PDF. All right, so if it were me, again, after I've done that, I would start week number 3. And how I did this again is I right-clicked. I went to the Move Copy. I chose Create a Copy. And I chose Move to End. I select OK, and it creates week number 3. And that's how I would do all 10 weeks. So you just continue on doing those weeks like that. And then again, what I would do is I should have had an assignment here. Let's say I did module. Let's say I did the geometrical shapes. And those usually go pretty quick. Instead of telling me which shape you built, you could say you did the geometrical shapes module. And let me know how long you spent doing it. So maybe from 5 to 8, you were working on that module, but you don't quite finish, right? So again, this is going to be the Sketcher workbench. We're designers. I'm supposed to do everything in capital letters. So I'm going to highlight this, copy, paste it on the top line, and then delete all of this out. Remember, hit 113 and drag it down to the 19th. Delete those out. Now I've got myself set up for week 3. Now on week 2, again, I've already accounted for 5/8. I forgot to put my description in. But on week 3, I've already done that. But you know what? I keep doing these all the time. So I'm just going to copy. And the 19th I know is the last day. And the 17th is the next day. And I'll just delete this out. And let's say I went home and did some more homework after class from 9 to 11 p.m. And I've got my 2 hours recorded for the week number 3. I just leave these times in here knowing that that's a given. I'm always doing those. So I've already got 8 hours recorded for week number 3, and I've only done the 2. All right, last thing I'll show you is this formula up here, how I got that to add this up. To make this easier to see, what I'll do is I'll copy my formula onto the Word doc, and I'll highlight this text and see if I can make it a little bigger for us to see. All right, so that's the formula. I'm letting it know that it's got to be the text, that it's adding up, and E16 to D16. E16 is this, D16 is this one, right? So this one here, I've got 2 rows of time in and time out. If you only have the 1 row, you don't need to include this. All of this would be deleted out. Oops. All of this would get deleted out. This means hours and minutes times the 24 is how it calculates the math to account for the hours and minutes. So it will recognize 9 p.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever times you're putting in. All right, so basically that's the formula you have to copy in. I'm going to put that back just in case you want to get cool like I did it and have 2 lines. But if you go ahead and type that in for yourself, that's all you got to do is type that in your spreadsheets, and it will figure that out for you. And then you don't have to add up the times. There's nothing wrong with adding the times up. If it's just easier for you to add the times, you can do that too. This is just a little extra tidbit on learning how to create formulas within your Excel spreadsheet. All right, I hope this helps you out and gives you kind of an idea of how to create and set up a spreadsheet. Oops, I'm changing my formulas around. I did not mean to do that. So I'll click here in no man's land. All right, so there's your last look at your accountability sheets. We're going to do 10 accountability sheets, and then accountability sheet number 11 will be to tally all the hours up that you've done for each workbench. How many hours did you spend doing each workbench? All right, and there's an example of accountability sheet 11 in the modules.